Hi, I'm Swanström, a UX and product designer. This video is for you who are taking your first steps into the world of design, and I am introducing the design tool Figma. Figma is a really powerful design and prototyping tool, so let's start looking at it. First things first, create an account, log into that, and then create a new file. How do you do that? You go up in this corner here, click File, and then New File. It's as easy as that. What's so cool about Figma is that it's a web-based tool. So you can choose if you want to use it in your browser or if you want to download the desktop client. I'm using the desktop client, but that's just a matter of preference. Decide what works for you. When I'm talking, I'll be sharing the Mac versions of shortcuts, but I will be overlaying in my videos with the Windows one. So don't worry, Windows users, Figma works for you too. Unlike Sketch, the tool I abandoned in favor of Figma. Oops. So now you have your new file. What are we gonna do? What are all these menus for? Okay, let me break it down to you. When you have a brand new document, it's gonna look something like this. You will have an empty bar over here. It'll be all empty over here. And you will have some menu options up here. If you're in a browser, these menu options live in this menu button right here. There you have File, Edit, View, Object. All of these that I have up here because I am on in the downloaded version of Figma. After a while, when you've started designing stuff, it'll look something more like this. This right here is your layer list. Everything you make, every text, every design, everything will appear in this layer list. And it's very similar to Photoshop or Illustrator if you've used tools like that. If you haven't, you'll be fine anyway. Okay, over here, when I select an object, I click this text, I will get all of these design options. Now this is a text element, and what can I do with that? I can change the styling of the text. I can change, maybe I want it to be a little bit see-through. Then I just change that value right here, pass through to 50, and then it's partially see-through. Maybe I want to make this a pink text. Then I can find a pink text up here. Or I can select another one in my document colors. In document colors, you will find all the colors that are active in your file. So maybe you work for a company and you have a brand color. As soon as you've started using it, it will show up in document colors. Nah, don't want that to be see-through. I'll put this value to 100 again. Okay, so that's the layer list. And when I mark this text, I can see where this is in my layer list. And where something is in that list matters. So if I have this text and I move it to up here, I can see that it is above this text, how to create a new file. If I want it to be underneath this text, then I just pull it here in the layer list to underneath, and that changes the order. So the layer list is like a layer cake. If it's up top, it is on top of the cake. You get what I'm saying, right? It's also really practical to know that if you right-click and say bring to front, it will be up at the very top. This is really practical to know when you have a lot of stuff in your file all of a sudden. Okay, so this is the design menu, this is your layer list, and you can also add many pages to your file. So here I have a completely empty page 1, and in my page 2 I have some stuff already prepared for you. Moving on, artboards. One of the things I like so much about Figma and Sketch and Framer and all of these tools that are made specifically for me to do digital design work is that it's so easy to do things right. It's now way easier to get your proportions of your design right with the help of artboards. Now, what are artboards? I use the shorthand command A to bring up the artboards insert menu right here. And here I can see that there are options for phone, tablet, desktop, watch, paper, social media, Figma community. If we're going to design an app, then I will just pick a phone format that's already in here. So maybe I'll pick a Google Pixel 2, and it has these dimensions on its screen. If I want to design for an iPhone 11 Pro, then that has these dimensions. See how this one is way taller and this one is squatter? If I were to design an iPhone app, but accidentally use the Google Pixel dimensions, things would look really strange and there would be a black bar at the bottom of my design when we show it on a phone. We don't want that. You want to design for the right dimensions as the phone that you're going to be looking at your design on. And there are lots of artboard proportions here. So here we can also maybe design for MacBook Pro, that's my computer. We can design for a tablet. Oh, I wish I had an iPad Pro 12.9. Is that the screen dimensions? And maybe I want this iPad to be in, what is it called? Landscape mode? Landscape mode. So then I just hit that button over there and this iPad is in landscape mode. Or maybe it's not. You can also make your own artboard dimensions by just pressing A and dragging like this. But if I'm just gonna guess how big a phone is, I'm probably gonna get it wrong. So I try to use the predefined artboard formats for when I'm designing, and it saves me so much time. In Figma, A for artboard and F for frame are pretty much interchangeable, so you can also hit F for frame and that will create an artboard, but it will be called frame. But they're pretty much the same. You can see that on this icon out here in the layer list that they all have the same hashtag, which means artboard. Okay, now let's make things interesting and actually start designing stuff in our artboards. I have now taken the precaution of naming these artboards. How do you do that? Well, you just double click it in the layer list over here. Naming your artboards is pretty good practice because stuff will get pretty cluttered after a while when you're designing in your Figma document. So make sure to name your artboards and the stuff you put into them, preferably. Almost every design starts with a bunch of rectangles. Now rectangles, how to make them is that you just press R and it will select this tool up here in the tools menu. You can also just click up here and select whatever shape you want to insert. But I pressed R, will give me a gray shape when I drag it out like this. I can move it around by dragging it. And yeah, that's a really important note. When you move around in Figma, you scroll around and you zoom in and out. And when you want to move an object, you click on it and drag it. Don't try to drag your way around the page. It will you will be sad. Okay, so we have a gray rectangle. Yay us. Let's center it in the middle with help of these buttons up here. And we are gonna turn this into a button. So I'm gonna change the shape of this slightly. Let's make it a really big button. It's 70. Nah, that's too high. 65. So the width of the artboard is 375, and I can take that minus 40, so that will give us 20 on each side. That's good. Let's put some color on this. We shall make it yellow. Yes. And let's put a text layer in here. The short command for text is T, and you just click and write what you want. It shall say next on this button. And as you can see when I'm dragging it, it will show me some guides as to when I am centered. But is it really? No, it's not. So select the next layer and the background of the button, and you can align them up here with 2 simple clicks, and it is straight and centered into the box. This next artboard for me is what happens next in this flow. So I click this button next, and what happens? So I want a button on this next page too. There are 2 ways to copy an object. And the first way is the classic copy and paste. And I pasted it and it pastes in right on top. I delete that. If I do this again, copy, and I mark this artboard and paste it, it'll try to paste it in the same place, but in this one. There is another way to duplicate objects, and that is to mark it, hold in Option, and then drag. That'll give you another one. And you can see here on the cursor that it is a little double cursor, and that means we are duplicating. Let it go there. Okie dokie. Another good thing to do in Figma is group your stuff. I just hit Command G, and that means that this is now a group. You can see here in the layer list, it says Group 1. And when you group something, you don't need to mark both the text and the button. They now belong together. If I want to ungroup them, Command Shift G. And they are, once again, two things. If I can also open up this group and see both of the items inside. Now, if I want to see how far this is away from the edge, I just hold in Option and measure like this. And I can see how far it is away from everything. I'll copy this into this artboard, and we will change the text here. So I click it a couple of times to first click into the group and then click my way into editing the text layer. Now it looks all wonky. I want this to be a centered text, and I want it to be centered in the button. Let's change the color of this to a nice pink. Yes, lovely. On the screen, maybe let's put a text element in here. I just hit T and say, today I shall cook Italian food, and what happened now? Now this, right here you can see how text layers work. Now this text layer is the same width as, it's all one row. That's what this button means. If I were to drag on this, I will change the width of the text, or the width of the text layer, and the text will start going down instead. There are other shortcuts for other shapes. So R is rectangle, O is for, I'm guessing, oval. It's a circle. So we can have that, and it can be a color that is black. And I can have a spotted frame like this. Send to back. Send back. So that's shapes and text. You are doing brilliantly. Just pause me whenever you need to experiment on your own. And if you want to see my file, then you can just check the description, and there will be a link into my design file so you can check on how I have done things. Now, copy and pasting properties is a really, really cool thing. Copy and pasting properties is so useful. So let's say I make another circle over here. I'm gonna hold Shift to make it completely round. And now I want this to be black like this one. So I just right click this one, and I can go down here to copy paste, and there is copy properties. Here you also see the quick command to do this. I'll just go ahead and copy these properties, Option Command C and Option Command V them there. Nice. Uh-oh, what happened now? I accidentally dragged this over here because I just wanted a little bit of overlap on the screen, but instead I accidentally dragged it out of the artboard. So just drag it back in. If I wanted just that little overlap, use the arrows to move it where you want it to. If you want the arrows to move stuff faster, hold in Shift, it'll move you 10 at a time. Now let's get into why Figma is such a powerful design tool, because it is both a design tool and a prototyping tool. That means that when you've designed something, you can add interactions and make it into a clickable prototype. And this will make your life so much easier as a designer. To add prototyping interactions, go to this top right corner of Figma and click Prototype. That'll change what shows in this section of Figma. Okay, so now if I want this button right here to take me to this screen. So I mark it when I'm in prototype mode, and you can see this little blue ball right here. This little dot right here is where I add the interaction. So I'll just drag that and point at the artboard I want that button to take us to. On a click of this button, navigate to second screen. Perfect. That sounds really good. And let's do the same for submit answer button. So I'll drag here, and this should point to this artboard. So on a click, navigate to first screen. Now let's take a look and see if it worked. To see your prototype, go to this top right corner up here where there's a little play button, and we can press that and we will see, yes, here is our screen, and it has a tell me button. What are you gonna do later? Tell me. Today I shall cook Italian food. And I click the submit answer and it takes me back. If you want to make your preview look even better, you can go over here. I mark this artboard and I go over here to this button, show prototype settings. If I click that, I can add a device to my prototype. So I can add an iPhone 11 Pro, which has these dimensions, and I can even pick what color that should have. I want the midnight green iPhone. And I can also pick if it should be in horizontal or landscape mode. So let's try again, and there it is, a sleek iPhone. This makes you look like you have spent a lot more time on your designs than you actually have, because the presentation looks so good. So there it is, our design in an iPhone. What are you gonna do later? Tell me. Today I shall cook Italian food, submit answer. And it just goes back and forth, back and forth. And that is how easy it is to do prototyping. You're gonna have so much fun with this. And I've inserted some explanations in here so that you can remember everything I've said. Okay, now let's take our prototype up a notch, and we shall now prototype a little user flow where we adopt a puppy. Lucky us. Let's insert our artboard. We want it to be iPhone today, but sometimes it's Android, depends on your mood and your client and everything. Here, I want to insert an image. I'm gonna use the plugin Unsplash. If you want to see my video about plugins in Figma, there is a link over here somewhere. Okay, so let's search for puppy. Oh, so cute. This little pupper is for us. I'll just click that and then it inserts into Figma, but it's too big, so I'll just resize it. Resize, and I'll place it into this artboard. So I just drag that into the artboard. Oh, you're so cute, you little corgi puppers. I will click this button and I will make the corners rounded like that. And no, I don't want this to be gray. I want it to be puppy dog beige with a border, not a drop shadow, but there is drop shadows in here. There's a lot of stuff you can do. Nope, not that. I want a stroke, and I want that stroke to be white. Oh wait, why is it doing that? Because I marked the entire group and gave it a stroke, so even the text gets a stroke. That wasn't the effect we wanted. I'll go into button here and hit rectangle and give it a stroke like this, but it shall be white. Maybe I'll reverse these colors. So this is beige and the fill is actually white, off-white. Elmo. Maybe we'll give it a little bit of drop shadow too, just for funsies. And I will increase the opacity here. Opacity means see-through. And I will make it like so. And I will blur it out, spread that shadow further. Okay. Oh, you're so cute, Elmo. Now I am going to duplicate this artboard. So I'll just hold an option and drag it, and we have another one. Now on this next page, this is where we go when we press the Elmo button. rectangle here that is a gradient, a linear gradient that goes from this orange to this orange, but invisible. Okay, so then we have a smoother transition into the puppy image. Now, when I click Elmo, I will go to this next page. Let's make the next page in this flow. If I click Adopt Now, and here we go to an application form, where maybe you put in your name and your address and your something, something, something. Can I make that the same off-white as this one? The color picker is something I use all of the time. You'll find it right here when you open the color menu. Now, if I want to make this button wider, but I still want Send Application to stay in the middle, just hold in Command when you are resizing it, and Send Application will stay in the center. So useful. This button is now centered in the artboard. I have no idea why I said that with that voice. I don't know about you, but I can't live my life without GIFs. And I'm therefore really happy that Figma supports the use of GIFs. And I shall now just make you go this way, and I will rotate you as well. Something that's really cool about Figma is that you can get a lot of design assets like for free, some really good stuff. Click this Figma icon and then hit the Communities tab right here. And here you can search for lots of useful stuff. We see nice device mockups, we see iOS UI kit. So I've actually copied stuff from this iOS kit because I want to have a keyboard. I'm going to take this keyboard and I'm going to move it into my artboard like so, and just plop it on the bottom. Oh, and now I can see that my forms are in the wrong place here. Move this up, and I'll take my forms and move them up like this. Like so. Prototype. I click into this field, we'll go to here, and there will be a cursor that comes up, and I can start writing. I just write stuff on this keyboard, and these get filled in with magic. So it's a Swedish number, and then I'm just gonna make stuff up. You're not getting my number. And I live in the beautiful capital of Sweden. It's called Stockholm. Apparently I live in Stockholm. And when I click, see how I'm like moving between design and prototype all the time? And then when I click Send Application, we'll just go over here, on tap, navigate to iPhone 11. And on tap on this keyboard, navigate to this one. Okie dokie, let's try this out. Why is it showing the old one? Well, let me tell you. When you are in prototype mode right here, and you zoom out a little bit, you can find this little square. That little square is super important because that tells you where your prototype starts. You can't just mark any artboard and just click play. When you have started prototyping, you need to set a starting point, and that little blue square does that. So you can just drag and drop it to where you think your prototype should start. It's a little bit buggy, but you'll get there. Okay, now if we hit play, puppy of the day is Elmo. So I click Elmo, and here he is, little pupper. Adopt now. What's my name? I need to fill it in. There we go. Send application. Thank you for your application. All right, we have prototyped and designed, and it went quite quickly. Are you ready to take this prototype up a notch? Let me show you animations real quick. So now when we click through this, it's very it's instant transition. But something I love about Figma is that it's really easy to make this feel a whole lot nicer. If I mark this transition and I press here on top, instead of having an instant transition, I can change that to Smart Animate. Let's see. So I click Elmo and boom. Everything that was on this page, on the previous page, that is also on the next page, moves in this super smooth way. If you want to learn more about these effects, check out this video right up here that was actually my very first YouTube video. If you learn all of these things, you are off to a super good start in Figma. We have learned how to create a new file, how the menus kind of work, how to insert artboards, how to make shapes and texts, how to copy and paste properties, how to copy and paste regularly, how this layer list works. We have started in prototyping already, and we can preview our prototype with a cool iPhone frame around it. We've also started looking at animations. Wow, you have gotten super far in Figma really, really quickly. Now go out, explore, and have fun. I'm Swanström. Thank you so much for watching. I'd appreciate a like and a share, and yeah, tell your friends about this any way that you can. Bye!